Next up, we have Seek from the Among Us soundtrack. Once again, everybody, this is a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I'm a professionally trained musician, a composer, and my objective here is to explain things in a way so that you don't have to be one to understand what is happening here, musically. So if you like the sound of that, make sure you're following the channel, subscribe to the channel, whatever term you want to use, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, become a member. Once again, everybody, members get early access, artists, I want to collaborate with anybody and everybody. You know, if you want guitars or Mongolian throat singing for your music, you know, the good old ooh, ooh, ooh kind of thing, or I have a whole spiel for that at the end of the video, so stick around for that. Disclaimers showing on your screen right now, so go ahead and pause the video if you want to read them. Otherwise, let's go ahead and do this. And Eleanor, yes, exactly. Let's do this. Seek. Let's see what you got. Okay, so we start with two very basic elements. We start with our bass guitar doing a bass line. Let me just write down the concept, right? Because as simple as it may be, we're still going for the layman. So a bass line is just basically the bass playing the lowest notes in the music. There's something interesting about the bass, that the bass can basically get away with doing almost anything as long as it keeps up with the harmony. And of course, then we have our drums, our bass drum doing some heartbeat-like beats. By the way, for those of you who haven't seen a bass guitar, here is what they usually look like. They are the electric variations. As you can see, very similar in design to a regular guitar, except these ones have 4 strings. They are considerably thicker because they are several octaves below the guitars. Jad, welcome today, how you doing? And I'm Dan, welcome today. So yes, we have this going on, and let's see where this goes. Okay, so we bring in the we bring in the rest of the drums, basically the hi-hat and the snare. For those of you who haven't seen a drum kit, this is how they operate. You have the big drum over here. Let me see one view from behind. You have the big drum, which is known as the bass drum or the kick drum, because you play it with your foot. You press down on this and it hits this. You have then the hi-hat, which is these two cymbals put together, which then you use this other pedal underneath to adjust the distance in between, or you can also adjust them manually for this. Then you have the snare, which is a different drum because it has a bunch of wires in, well, it has not wires, they're chains in the background, which are called wires for some reason, which it gives you that very snary sound. Then you have these 3, it can be more, but these are called the toms. Then you have usually your crash cymbal and your ride cymbal doing your stuff. Then we bring in a sample of some, sounds like violin, not violin, lower end, like just string orchestra sample, giving us our initial, it could be our initial motif, it could just be the accompaniment. Motif being the smallest version of your musical idea, the seed, the essence from which everything else comes from, and then the accompaniment being the backing band for the main, whatever's gonna take the spotlight. So let's see where this goes. Because these are cellos and double basses, so it's not a string orchestra, it is a bossy section. The bossy section is the cello section plus the double basses. What is a double bass? We have, you know, the bass guitar, and then we have now a double bass. A double bass is this. It's the largest of the viol family. You can see, where's the picture we usually use? This one. It's a big instrument, and it is in the same shape as, you know, violins, violas, and cellos. You play it standing up, and it is one of the lowest sounding instruments that we have in the standard orchestra. Massive instrument. And then we have the cello. We have a cello, and the cellos is a variation of this instrument which you play sitting up with the. Come on, give me a better image. Which you play lying this one through this. And a section, when you look at an orchestra, if you look at an orchestra, a section is going to be a series of multiple people that have the same instrument. This is usually normal in the string orchestra, because the string orchestra is going to be the majority of your orchestra. Over here, you can see all these violins. These are two sections of violins, which means section number 1 is going to have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 people playing the first violin part, then 12 people playing the second violin, maybe 10 people playing the violas, 8 people playing the cellos. No, we have 10 people playing the cellos over here. And then 2, 4, 6, 8 people playing the double basses. So these are usually big ensembles, big ensembles that we have. And right now we only have a synth basically emulating the bossy over here, while we are having the bass guitar doing a bass line, and these bossy are giving us what sounds to be a second bass line, or the harmony of the actual chords that we're getting. So when you're making music, you have 3 main components. You have melody, harmony, and rhythm. Melody is your individual horizontal lines, the sounds that you make from any individual instrument. Then you have rhythm, which is your usage of time, when things happen, how fast or slow, beat, that kind of thing. And then there's harmony. Harmony is by far the most complex out of all 3 of these components. Harmony is what chords you are using, what scales you are using, what chords you get out of your scales, what scales you get out of your chords, the relationship between them, the relationship between the sets of scales that you use, the sets of chords that you use. Like, you can just keep adding layers and layers and layers of extrapolation, of meta-analysis to these kind of things. And usually your harmony is going to be dictated by chord progressions and scales. So the difference between a chord progression, a chord progression is the chords as you are using it in the order that you're using them, and your scales, of course, are the notes that you can play. Scales, of course, come from the chromatic scale, which is all 12 tones in Western music. If you bring a keyboard, it's going to be all black and white keys. Then out of those, you're going to grab a formula and you're going to make scales out of that. And I think this one is going to be in a minor scale. It sounds like it's in a minor scale. So minor scales are going to be scales with a minor third, minor sixth, minor 7. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, but they sound a little bit darker. They sound a little bit darker, a little bit more somber. Very, very good for this kind of music. And of course, the chord progressions that you can get are very nice. They're nice and dark and everything. And of course, while you have that going on, you will have a bass doing your bass line, right? So you can have something like this, right? Oh, my bad. So you can feel the difference once you add a bass to this kind of stuff. And yeah, it gets insanely complicated once we have a harmony. But basically right now we're having 2 bass lines basically doing some counterpoint. Counterpoint, of course, being point against point, is when you have multiple melodies at the same time. Usually it's a study of how melodies develop and how they interact with one another for that kind of stuff. It's fairly rare to have counterpoint in the bass, but right now we are seeing that happen. Let's see where it goes. Okay. Okay, so now we are bringing in the bass. The original bass guitar is now doing a more melodic approach. We're getting a bass solo, which are not that common, but they're really cool. We're doing variations on what the bass was doing at the start, and now we have the bossy section giving us that bass line. So the bass line is still being kept over there. We had one run when it was both of the instruments or both of the layers engaging in what is called a doubling, in which all the instruments are doing the same thing. And now we have the bossy doing the bass line while the bass guitar is doing a solo. So let's see where this goes. Good luck then. So now we're having... Ooh. Okay, so we switch it up. We bring in a more active drum beat. And of course, we bring in a guitar, an electric guitar, giving us a variation of what the bossy section was playing. We are bringing in, for example, we're just adding a couple of notes in between. I forget the name of the term when you have notes in between. It's not just step notes. But you're adding notes in between, so usually you would have a melody or a melody that would usually have, you know, like... And then you add these other... No, they're not triplets, because it's adding more notes to the melody. So instead of doing that, you would be doing... So you're adding more and more notes to this. I don't know if it's flare notes. I forget the term right now. But the idea is that you're just adding more notes in between while keeping the overarching original melody the same. Of course, now we know that this is our motif that we are handling. Let's see where it goes. Nice. Oh. Now we bring another melody from the guitar. So now we enter in what could be a guitar solo. We're having the guitar and the bass doing their thing. The guitar is now doing a faster version of the motif. And yeah, I like it. I like it. The guitar's a little loud, but who cares? Goofy guitar? Not really. No, there's way goofier ways of playing the guitar, don't worry. It's a very simple scale, it's a very simple melody, that's for sure, but it's Among Us. It's not supposed to be that serious. It's not supposed to be that serious, and I think it fits the vibe of the game pretty well so far. I never played it, because of course I haven't, but let's see where it goes. So yes, we no longer have the bossy. We now brought in the bass guitar going down once again to the bass line, and now we have the guitar doing a guitar solo. So when you're making music, you want to keep a careful balance between what is familiar and what is new. Too much familiarity, too much of the same thing, too much repetition, you risk boring your listener, they tune out. Too much new material too quickly, you risk overwhelming the listener, they tune out. There is one universal exception to this, which is solos. If you can bring a solo, no matter the instrument, if it sounds cool and if it's enough, you can get away with it. And right now, on top of that, we're having that with guitar, and the guitar is doing variations on the motif, doing what is known as a reduction. Reduction is when you speed up a motif or any musical idea to make it, well, faster. So, for example, we were having the, like, let's bring in we're going to use C minor this time around, right? Let's say we're using this, right? We're using that, and a reduced version would just be a faster version of it. It doesn't have to be proportional. It has to keep mostly the ideas, and you can reduce some of the notes and not others. The idea is that the melodic shape stays mostly the same. Of course, when it comes to music, you can really do pretty much anything. Again, in music, these are not hard rules. Like, it's not like if you break these rules, the academics are gonna bring you and take you to music jail or something like that. It's just that these are mostly common practices. These are things that are known to work better than others. And yeah, we have that because, yeah, you can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things in music, and just some of them are not going to work. For example, if you bring this chord progression, you create cadence. Yes, you can have that. You can always just add notes that don't belong there, and you might find a way to make it work, you might not. And that is the risk that you're taking. You can break the rules, but if you break them, make sure you know what you're doing and why you are breaking them. And again, these are not hard rules, these are not laws, these are common practices that we know work. Anyway, let's see where this goes. Yep, so we're going a little bit higher. Okay, now we bring in this other beat of the drums. We are having the guitar doing now a repeated note version of the motif while the bass is doing the same thing. Surprisingly simple and straightforward. I was not expecting them to take a very simple process, and the simple process of just taking the bass line and making that your melody. I am a very melodically oriented musician, and yeah, usually I make sure that the bass and the guitar are doing something at least different. The drums are joining out the guitar. No, there's more going on. The guitar now has been panned to the left ear. Which concept of panning, I'm going to have to go through that. And the guitar is engaging in palm mutes, and the engineer here did not compensate for that. So yes, the drums are technically drowning the guitar for these two things. So first we have the concept of panning, right? Panning in audio is when you focus on one channel. Of course, channels is how many audio tracks you have available for however many speakers there may be. So we started with mono. Mono is single channel. Single channel audio, which means no matter how many speakers you have, you only have one track. You have stereo, which is the standard that we have nowadays, which is 2. Then you have surround, which is we have 3.1, 5.1, 7.1. I think there are places that might have 9.1. I don't know if we have 11.1 at this point, but basically it's just you just keep adding more and more speakers for more channels, more audio tracks that you can put for a single project. The 0.1 stands for the subwoofer, the bass speaker, and then we go back to the stereo, right? So stereo means that there's 2 tracks for 2 speakers, usually oriented for left ear, right ear, because, you know, we're human beings. Most of us have 2 working ears, left ear and right ear. So in that case, let me just delete this one. There we go. Stereo is 2 channels. So yes, we have then the idea of stereo. You have the left ear for left track. Let me move it a little bit here. Left ear, right ear. And then you have you here, listener, all happy, deformed, and bald, therefore evil. So we have the idea of this, and the way it works is that every audio track that we have that has stereo is actually 2 audio tracks being played at the same time that just sound together in conjunction for everything. So for example, right now we have a guitar being played on the left ear, we have the bass playing on both ears and whatnot. So how does this work? If you have an audio track, let's say a guitar playing in full volume on both the left ear and the right ear, the audio is going to sound like it comes from the front. However, the more you lower the volume from one end, the further from the other side, you're going to start hearing the audio coming in, which is what has happened over here. The right ear has been turned off for the guitar, and now we have the left ear happening in now we have the guitar sounding on the left ear, and on top of that the guitar is doing a technique known as palm muting. Palm muting is when you take a guitar. Let me bring you an image of a guitar. Super common in metal, particularly metal music. You can see over here the guitar. You have the guitar necks, you have both bridges, and if you have the and if you bring the lower bridge over here, you can take the palm of your hand while you're holding your guitar pick, and you press the palm of your hand against this over here. You press it down while you are still playing, and you get that nice crunchy sound that you get from the palm mute. However, this, depending on the distortion and depending on how you do it, so the further you put your palm to the rest of the strings, the more you risk not palm muting and just muting the strings. And it seems right now this guitarist ended up putting the hand a little too far towards the center, and yeah, the guitar ended up getting a little too muted. The volume ended up dropping a little too much. I don't know if this was intentional or not, because it seems like each round we've been giving more of a focus to a different instrument. Right now we might be giving a focus to the drums. Not entirely sure. Inverse, welcome today. How you doing? Can't sleep, so you here? Hell yeah. All right, let's see where this goes. How do you even make, for example, a guitar play on the left ear? So that's, as I said, right? So for panning, to make a guitar sound on the left ear, which is what is happening over here, you have a guitar audio, and there are softwares that will just give you a little knob, like it's sitting at the center. If you twist it left, it turns it to the left ear. If you twist it right, otherwise, the way you do it is that you just have the right ear volume turned all the way down, and that's it. And that's it. That's how panning works. And this applies to pretty much anything. And it seems right now we're just having the guitar doing this. Let's see where it goes. I think I realize why this is the sound we're getting, because I think these are digital instruments. The only thing that sounds analog, like recorded with a live musician, might be the bass. This guitar is digital. So, like, you can see how I have this keyboard over here. This is not a real piano. This is a computer-emulated piano. It's a really good emulator. Like, Contact Player is a really good one. So, I can very much... I can very much emulate the sounds pretty nicely. However, you can then bring in a guitar and that kind of stuff, and it won't sound natural. Like in my case, of course, because I'm the one playing, I'm a human being playing the keyboard, it is going to sound natural if I start actually playing, right? I don't even remember what it is that I was playing, but it's that kind of thing. However, you can then bring it into an audio, what is called a digital audio workstation, or DAW for short. And some of these will have what is called a MIDI map, or a MIDI keyboard, or whatever it is, a composition editor, where you can just put the notes where they are. Mattbot, welcome today. How you doing? Basically, it will look like, let me see, Pro Tools MIDI editor, and if I bring in, let me see if there's any good pictures. Here you go. So it will look a little bit like this. So you can see here is the keyboard, and then you can just insert the notes. This is called MIDI, which is just a digital instructions for instruments. This is how video game sound engines used to work, because you couldn't have the recorded sounds playing. You would just give the instructions, and you would build the sound engine with the different sounds, and then it would just be, oh, when this happens, play this note. When this happens, play this note. So you bring these instructions in, and there you go. The computer is going to play them. However, because the computer is going to be very precise, you are going to get a certain limitation in the sound that you can get, because it's going to be digital. And this one, this particular audio sample sounds like a fairly basic one. And besides, guitars are pretty difficult to emulate because of all the different nuances that you get. It's pretty difficult to emulate a guitar. So we're having a few layers over here. It could be that the composer here chose this audio and chose to make this this more retro sound being that. So just add random delay or stuff like that. That's extra work, right? That's also extra work. Like, there are ways you can work around it, but if this is not the sound that the composer wanted, then that's not the sound the composer wanted. And we went from having the guitar front and center to the guitar being on the left ear and a little bit quieter, so it does seem to be a deliberate choice. Let's see where it goes. Okay, and now we're having, I'm actually going to question this decision. We now have two guitars, one of them doing the rhythm guitar, the other one doing the melody, and they're both panned to the left ear. This is very unusual. This is very, very uncommon. Usually you want each guitar to be panned to each ear. However, right now we have both of them panned to the left ear, which it's I don't know how to feel about this one. Because in one side, knowing the nature of this video game, it makes sense. knowing the nature of this video game, that the sound on one side is there and it's not on the other, and you're kind of seeking the sound out because, you know, that's part of the game. You know, there's one side will not know things that the other side does. That kind of battle of information that the game is about. So it is on theme. It is on subject and hidden welcome today. So it does, but at the other side, it does sound weird because I'm used to having one guitar per ear. So yeah, so it's most likely done for the sake of scoring. So scoring, of course, being when you write music for the purposes of the music being a tool for something else. In this case, it's going to be for gameplay, most likely. So let's see where it goes. There we go. And yeah, the melody that the guitar is playing in the solo is fairly, it's one of those, like, kind of like Mission Impossible, one of those, like, heist type of melodies. So there you go. Thesis, welcome today. How you doing? So yeah, let's see where it goes. And the second guitar is doing octave displacement, by the way. So the concept of octave displacement is when you displace the octave in something happening, right? So let's say we have a scale over here. I already explained the basics of scale. Let's bring in the scale of screw it, let's stay in minor key. So A minor, right? So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then every time we reach A, it's called an octave. B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. So these we can also, of course, translate to numbers, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back to 1, and you just continue. In this case, we're just going to keep it in. Yes, the scale of A minor is literally just A through G in the alphabet, in the regular alphabet, and it sounds a little bit like this is the scale of A natural minor. Sometimes people raise the final one, so instead of playing G, you play G sharp to get the harmonic minor. But yes, we're having that kind of thing. And of course, right now, we are talking about octave displacement. Octave displacement is when you have some sort of melody and you repeat it and you just displace the octave, which is happening. So from A to A, over here, A to A is one octave, A to A is another octave, A to A is another octave. Those are octaves, so that means whatever notes you play, you can always displace the octave. So let's say our original melody is going to be A, B, C, right? Simple, nice, and simple. Very, very nice. However, if we then proceed to say, let's displace the octave, we're going to do, let's do the obnoxious one, right? A, B, and C. So then, instead of doing ABC like this, you can do it a little bit like this. Same notes, just in a different octave right now. And right now, the guitar is doing a very common type of riff where you're just playing the same note higher up an octave, right? Oh, let me show the keyboard, right? So that kind of thing, right? Super, super simple. And how chaotic, imagine musicians use the entire alphabet for notes, how chaotic it would be. That probably would fit microtonal music, maybe. It would be very chaotic. It's already chaotic with the letters that we're using, but yes. So yes, we're having this. And by the way, if you want to hear a very clear example of octave displacement, listen to the track Goat by Polyphia. Goat by Polyphia is a prime example of octave displacement, and a few other things as well. The track starts with the original melody being played on a synth, and then the guitars come in with octave displacement and extra adornments. It's an insanely good track, and Tim Henson and his whole crew and his whole genre of guitarists that he... there's hair on my keyboard. The whole genre of guitarists that he brought in, they mostly focus on octave displacement. You're just playing relatively simple melodies in different octaves, and that's basically what is happening. So we're doing that. We're having this like chase sequence melody happening, and the guitars are happening on the left ear, while the bass and the drums are distributed properly across the rest of this. I would be interested on Innersloth's input in this, whether or not this was an intentional thing. It has to be, because the game shipped out like that, but let's see where this goes. Reading notation with that? Not really, no. Alright, here we go. We bring back this version, the break over here. Oh, a song plays 4 notes, then plays those 4 notes higher. Is that octave displacement? Technically octave displacement as well. You can just repeat things up an octave. So if the song is just 4 notes, and then you just play it, that is technically a form of octave displacement. It's just you're displacing the phrase up into a different octave or down into another octave. So it can be. Usually octave displacement is more referred to just the individual notes being changed. So you know this over here. Instead of going that, we bring that kind of thing. Or, so it would be that kind of thing where you're actually bouncing back and forth. But in the strictest term, it could be that you're just moving phrases up and down your octaves. That could also be octave displacement, as long as you are displacing the original octaves. So, yeah, let's see where this goes. The drums sound amateurish. The drums are very basic. The drums are very, very, very basic, very straightforward. They're not amateur. They're definitely not amateur. They're just very simple. Every single thing in this track has been very simple and straightforward. There's nothing. It's not something that you're going to need 3 months of constantly practicing in order to be able to play. And some of the best stuff out there doesn't need to be. Some of the best music out there doesn't need to be the most complicated thing. For example, one of the greatest pieces of music ever created, the Moonlight Sonata. It's a very simple. I can't go lower because, you know, it's a very, very slow. Now, the third movement, it gets extremely complicated. But the first part it's a fairly simple and easy piano piece. And it's one of the most beautiful piano pieces ever created in the history of mankind. Now, Mozart, he had no chill when it came to this kind of stuff. Like he would always go absolutely insane. But that's a separate issue. But yeah, no, like your stuff can be simple, and it still can be good. Less is more in many cases. And right now, this is fitting the purpose very well. This is fitting the purpose very well, because I can imagine in the game this is going to be awesome. Granted, disclaimer, I haven't played this game because I've never played anything in my life. I have a full list, which I did update the list. I have a full list. Here you have a list of video games that I've missed out on. I have 4 lists total from this. And, yeah, I have them organized and everything. I have 236 games of the how the fuck have you not played this games yet list. Then I have a hidden gems, which is at 88 right now because the first thing. Then I have like rhythm games and Halloween Reserve, that kind of stuff. So yes, I have never played anything, including of course Among Us, but I know mostly about it. And yes, Moonlight Sonata is just arpeggios. Yes. Anyway, let's see where this goes. Correct, yes. So we're repeating this phrase over here. Alright, how are you gonna end this? Oh, we still have 30 seconds left. Let's see where it goes. We repeat it again. So we're doing straight repetition over here. Is this gonna loop or is it gonna end? Let's see. Oh! There we go. So we go for the guitar's high beat. We do one last break, which not entirely a tutti, but pretty close. Welcome today, Justo. And there you go. We do one last run of the drums and the bass, and it ends right there. So there you have it. there you have it. That was Seek. But like the structure of this was very straightforward. 2 parts. The second part subdivided into 2 more parts, played over and over again, and there you go. And there you go. Very, very, very simple, straightforward. For scoring, this is great. For scoring, this is great. As a piece by itself, I'm still wondering about the left ear. I think that was an intentional thing to do, because it's either you didn't notice that the track got panned to the wrong ear, or you decided that it was gonna get panned to that ear. It's one of the two. Like I don't see this being. It's either 100% intentional, or somehow you messed up bad enough that it's been years and you still never fixed it. I think this was a deliberate choice given the theme of the game. And you know, we have even the art here, right? Like there's a lot of darkness around this. There's stuff that is happening outside earshot, that kind of stuff. So 100%, I would say this is intentional. So there you have it. That was Seek by Inner Sloth from the Among Us soundtrack. Once again, everybody, this has been a Basterd's LFA, a Layman-Friendly analysis. I'm a professionally trained musician and composer, and my objective here has been to explain things in a way so that you don't have to be one to understand what's happened here musically. So if you're watching this on the YouTube video archive thing, thank you for watching. Make sure you're following the channel, subscribe to the channel, whatever term you want to use. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, become a member. Once again, everybody, if we somehow hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube before Christmas of 2025, which is still a possibility. It's not very likely, but it is a possibility. If that happens, I will take a single fan fiction of the choice of the community, and I will fully produce, record, and voice act an audiobook for it. This has to be achieved through legitimate and honest means only. No account duping, no botting, no buying followers, no alt accounts, no rat behaviors like that. Go instead, share the videos, the streams with your friends, with your families, with your family's friends, with your friends' families. Those are 2 distinct concepts, by the way. And yes, we have a member who also offered to do a Discord Nitro giveaway. We might do other giveaways as well. We will see. Like, if you have any ideas or you want to contribute, just let me know. We'll make as much of it happen as possible. Yes, share this with your online and offline communities. Use the YouTube hype function. I don't know how it works, but we have a group on the Discord that does. Link down below. Go check out with them. And yes, artists, Inner Sloth or anybody else, any other artist that would like to collaborate, I am more than happy to provide any of my musical skills, whether it is in the guitar, Mongolian throat singing, you know, the good old ooh, 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 kind of thing, or voice acting, singing, or if you want help figuring out something for your composition, just reach out, let me know. We will make it work as much as possible. And if you're in the audience and you know any artist that could benefit, go ahead and let them know. Do not harass anyone. Do not spam anyone. Don't be a rat about it. Members get early access to the content. I schedule the videos for the week on Saturdays, and if you're a paid member on YouTube, regardless of your tier, you get access to the videos when I schedule them, at least for the LFAs. So become a member today. CWG, thank you for the membership. I will address that in a moment. If you want to listen to this without me interrupting every 3.5 seconds, I will be linking it in the description down below. If you want to request a song and you're not on the live stream, check the pinned comment. It has the instructions on what to do. And if you want to catch the streams when they happen live, we aim for Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Central European Time. If you are not in Europe, do not worry. We have the full up-to-date streaming schedule showing in your local time zone in both Discord and Twitch, both linked down below. So if you live in Namaku and you're like, yeah, but what time is 6 p.m. in Hungary? I don't live there. Do not worry. Just go to Discord or Twitch, both linked down below, and they have the schedule showing in your local time zone. And follow the gaming channel. I have a gaming channel, because of course I have a gaming channel. I'm on YouTube. What else could I possibly have? Games are Bastard. That's where I put the gaming after show recordings. When they happen, they get recorded on the main channel, and then the recordings go there. We've been playing through like Silent Hill F, Vintage Story, and we're gonna be starting Halo and a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm catching up through the list, so it's all there. We hang out there, all that kind of stuff. So link down below, or just search on YouTube, same username as James R. Bastard. Just swap the J for a G, and you got it. And yeah. There you go. That was Seek, Among Us, soundtrack. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. But yeah, let's move on.